Do you find that it's become challenging to fight flies? It might be because they've built a resistance on the operation because of the product that you've been using for the last few years. I completely understand that frustration because flies cost time, they cost money, and they're stressful to everyone. But what if I told you that by simply switching the product and switching the mode of action for even just 1 year can help reduce the fly population, help reduce the stress to the cattle, and help improve production? In today's video, I'm gonna go over 5 fly control options to help impact production on your herd and help reduce the stress and the fly population. Hey guys, Ashley Kettner with Riomax. I've been working with cattle producers across North America to help them fight flies on their operation, as well as our own operation. We're a 6th generation ranch here in southern Minnesota. So today we are gonna talk about 5 different ways to control flies, which would include fly tags, pour-ons, dust bags or cattle rubs, sprays, and then feed-through options. These are all really good options, but it's important to understand each one to see which one's gonna be the best fit for your operation. Okay, fly tags. So the newer generation of fly tags have more insecticide in them, which helps to have a better control compared to the fly tags on the market in the past. But something that you still need to keep in mind when you're looking at fly tags is to check what is the mode of action so that you know what species of flies it can handle. Not all fly control options are good for all species. It's also important to understand how many fly tags per animal. Typically, I would see that a mother cow would need 2 fly tags where a calf would need 1, so that's just something, double check on that. Since fly tags are typically a chemical kill, this is something where you'll want to consider seriously changing your mode of action every 1 to 2 years so that you can help prevent resistancy being built with the fly population out there. With fly tags, typically companies will recommend that you apply the tag to the cow after fly season has already started. That way you have a harder hit when they're turned out to pasture. And then they also recommend when their time frame is done based on the product that you bring the cattle back in and take your tags off so that it's not just essentially dripping the insecticide, and that will or could lead to building a resistance. So the fly tags can be a great option. They can be a little bit more time consuming in reference to handling cattle a little bit more. All right, pour-on. So there's a lot of great pour-on options out there. There's even some that include an internal parasite control. Now, since pour-ons are typically a chemical kill as well, you'll definitely want to consider changing the mode of action every 1 to 2 years to help reduce the chance of building a resistance. This can be an option that seems very practical at first because maybe you can pour them when you're already working the cows in the spring. However, most of the labels do say that it should be applied again to the cow mid-season. This is where it can get a little bit challenging and maybe a little bit more time consuming, cost a little bit more money, especially if you're on bigger country and you're not necessarily able to bring the cattle in as easy. Okay, now let's talk about dust bags and cattle rubs. So this can be a really good option too if you have a good setup for it. It can help actually be less labor intensive. But something to keep in mind is that unless you have it set up in just the perfect spot where every animal is going to touch it, there's a chance that you're gonna miss a pretty good percentage of the herd that just simply didn't get the rub. So that's something to be mindful of, and as I've been saying, to know the mode of action so you can be rotating and you can reduce the chance of building a resistance. Sprays. So sprays can be a pretty good option too. They can get a little bit more labor intensive depending on your setup and your program. This is where most sprays have to be sprayed on a consistent basis. So that could depend the frequency that you're out there. Some guys will invest in equipment such as like foggers, things like that, to make sure, from a distance they can still get the cows, and they're getting an effective spray and maybe don't have to be out there quite as often to help reduce the time, but now your upfront cost is gonna be a little bit more. So just different things to weigh out there too. Lastly, feed-through options. So this can be a very effective option if fed properly and can be less labor intensive. So why more effective is because you are offering the fly control at a very consistent basis because it's with their feed. So they're constantly getting the product to constantly be helping to fight the flies. Now, this is also very important based on the protocol or your program. How you're offering it can play a big part. If it's in the feed, then great, all the animals are getting it. If it's an fly control in a tub, this is where the tub to cow ratio comes in and is very, very important to make sure that the cows on the bottom of the pecking order are still getting the product to help do the job and they're not missing out. Now, something else to keep in mind is that with feed-through options, typically it's recommended that you start feeding it 30 days before the last frost through 30 days after the first frost. So a little bit longer of a feeding season, but the benefits of the fly control at a consistent basis outweigh that time frame. By now, I trust that you have a good understanding of these 5 options to fight flies. Now, keep in mind that it's nearly impossible to completely get rid of flies. But these are options that can help you reduce the negative impact of the flies on your operation. If you're interested in learning more about some feed-through options, click the link below. That's going to take you to the Riomax product page, and you can learn more about the fly control options that we have. We have 2 main ones, PG 360 IGR. IGR stands for Insect Growth Regulator. This is gonna be a really good option if you're looking to fight horn flies. The other one is PG 360 Repel. This is a garlic-based, all-natural fly control that is gonna help to fight against a larger range of fly species. Now, if you have any questions while you're looking at those, absolutely pick up the phone, give us a call so that we can help with anything possible. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like and the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with more content that's coming. Thank you guys and have a great day.